Well, all those three things are true. All those three things are different expressions of the same thing. Because if you're going to control people, and the number of people that are in full knowledge of what their agenda is and what they're trying to achieve in terms of transformation of global society is tiny compared with the target population. So you can control the population, if you like, physically, with tanks in the streets and soldiers at the door, up to a point, and it's a very small point. If you're going to control billions of people, and you're a relative handful, the way you control them is through their perceptions, because perception is everything. Your perception dictates what you accept, what you don't accept, what you challenge, what you won't challenge, what you will support and what you won't support. From perception comes everything. And you know, when we talk about people taking things for granted, one of the things that people take for granted more than anything else is their perceptions. Because they perceive that their perceptions are a result of free thought, their own free thought. I have come to this conclusion. But the methods of perception manipulation, well, they're blatant to anyone that wants to really look at it, but to those that don't, it's very subtle, but it's incessant. And if you go through the process of why most people see the world in a certain way, you can see where this comes from, because you're born into the world, and immediately you enter the world, your perceptions of reality start to be influenced by your parents. And your parents have been through the process that you're about to go through. Then, and you know, it's like people accept things because they've always been like that. So this is how they are, this is the norm. But when you take a step back and look at it from a bigger perspective, the speed with which a child comes into the world and then hits the school system is extraordinary and getting smaller. And so very soon after you enter this world, you find yourself sitting at a desk with an authority figure representing the state in front of you, a teacher, telling you when you have to be there, when you can leave, when you can speak, when you can go to the toilet. In other words, now you're entering that stage of conformity to rules, which is designed to take you through your entire lifetime. And also these teachers are telling you what is and what isn't, what's possible, what's not possible, the state's version of history, the state's version of reality, everything, science. And then you go through this process at least 5 days a week for your childhood. And then you go up into college and university, and you go on to another level, but it's a continuation of the same thing. And then, at the end of this whole process, which is in effect 15, 16, 17, 18 years of a perception download of reality, you take this perception of reality out into the adult world. You go into journalism, you go into science, quantum physicists apart, most of them anyway. You go into medicine, you go into politics, you go into corporations, and you take, and like I say, the media, journalists, and you take with you into these institutions this core programming of reality, this core download. And it is such a ludicrously narrow band of possibility, based, for instance, on the world being solid and physically real, when actually quantum physics has shown that that's not the case. But that's cast aside with the program.
Okay, David, who are we to say that whatever they are downloading throughout these 16, 18 years, that it's not right?
Well, just by researching beyond it, I call this download the postage stamp consensus, because when you research deeper into the nature of reality, and also the nature of the world and world events, and also into history, which is written by the winners, you start to realize that the version of everything that you've been given, like I was through your formative years, was overwhelmingly, not entirely, but overwhelmingly either nonsense, either completely untrue, or a series of half-truths. And so what you do when you go into these institutions, you take that download with you, and then the institutions confirm that to each other that the download is true, the download is real, it's how things are. So doctors take their point of reference for healing and health from science. Journalists report the world from the point of view of this postage stamp consensus.
Now I have to stop you. I haven't seen reporting for a long time. They are telling you, at least the last 15, 20 years, they are telling you what to think and how the things work. They are not reporting anymore.
Exactly. And this point of reference that journalists take, there are some journalists, particularly the owners of the media, who are consciously putting out information to mislead and manipulate the perceptions of the population, thus their reaction and response to what is happening in the world. But, you know, I was a journalist for a long time in the mainstream, and most of them are not knowingly manipulating. They are coming from the point of view of the postage stamp consensus. And that says that anyone who steps off the postage stamp and says, hold on a minute, there are other ways of looking at the world, they're immediately dismissed as mad or dangerous. And the other thing is, from the point of view of journalistic and political postage stamp consensus, there's no such thing as a conspiracy. Now, when you look at the definition of conspiracy, it is merely two or more people coming together to conspire illegally to
against someone else.
Yeah, and to create a conclusion. So on that basis, the world is drowning in conspiracies. But what has happened is this in this area alone. In the 1960s, after the Kennedy assassination, followed of course by Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy, in America and wider afield, people started to look at this and say, hold on a minute, this is connected. What's gone on? What's behind this? They were saying the idea that Kennedy was shot from behind from the book depository when his head was clearly on the Zapruder film, shot from the front, and he recoiled backwards. And Jackie Kennedy tried to get out of the back of the car because she knew where the bullet had come from. She wasn't going to head towards the bullet, was she? So these things were obviously being questioned. So what the CIA did, and the documents exist to prove this, is that they, shall we say, encouraged major media outlets in America to use the term conspiracy theory and conspiracy theorist to discredit those people that were questioning what obviously needed questioning. And still today, and you will have experienced this, I'm sure, when I was in Australia, I was in the mainstream media a lot in Australia. And again it was like, but you're a conspiracy theorist. All these decades later, the mainstream media is still using the term that the CIA brought into widespread use.
It's the same in Central Europe.
Yeah.
Because they still hope that once they label you, that you will walk away.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea behind it.